Welcome to my channels, The Sales Target. I'm your host, Manik Senanayake. And today we are going to look at why certain salespeople continue to struggle in their entire sales careers. Now you find that there are certain people who take up sales as a career. They just acquire the skills to sell very quickly. They are naturally gifted or they acquire new skills, and they feel there are few other people will take a little bit of longer time than the others, but eventually they figure out what exactly is the sales mantra and become great salespeople and hitting their numbers very regularly. And of course then there are those people or salesmen who continue to struggle during entire period of their sales careers. They might have one-off quick big wins, 1 or 2 months, but they lack consistency and sustainability. And as a result, you find they are intimidated, as well as the level of commitment and focus and passion fades away over a period of time. Why is that? What is the issue at play here? Are they by design not meant for sales? A lot of people will associate that with lack of commitment, lack of focus, or not passionate enough, or probably your attitude, or not willing to put in the hours in. But it's much more wider and much more deeper than that. So before we really figure out as to why people struggle in sales, we need to really first understand what is meant by struggling. Not from a company's point of view or your sales manager's point of view, where they would say, pull you up and say, you know what, you're behind your cumulatives or monthly targets, but from your point of view. What are the empirical evidence out there? What are the red flags? By when do you really draw a line on the sand and say, you know what, I am struggling? When is that realization comes? I think there's no time period as such. It's based on the sales cycle, because some products you might sell within 1 day, maybe within 1 week, or maybe 1 month, or 3 months, or even 6 months. So I would say, based on the sales cycle, I would say you need to give about at least 3 to 4 sales cycles. And even after 3 to 4 cycles, if you are not really hitting the targets or have one big win, then probably you need to reassess yourself. Instead of just throwing the towel, you need to assess yourself and do a recalibration effort in terms of what's wrong with you. So let's look at very briefly, I would say there are 3 basic strong elements which constitute why people continue to struggle. Number 1 is rituals and habits. What is meant by that is, what do you do day in, day out? What are the things that you do day in, day out as a habit, as a practice, to achieve your sales target? This is the what element. Number 2 is the how element. It's basically skills. So you might have rituals, but basically what sort of strategies that you use. Number 3 is the why, which is the mental component, or we call it sales mentality. Let's look at all these 3 one by one, bit more detail. Number 1, rituals, what we do. Now, if you look at what we do day in, day out, you got to make sure that you are time limited. And you are limited in terms of resources, your effort. So you have to make sure that whatever time that you spend in your sales effort, you have to maximize it. You have to maximize your time, the effort, even finances or money in some cases. So there are 4 elements or categories that you do that you need to revisit and figure out whether you are doing enough or you're doing less. So these 4 categories can be viewed from a positive point of view and a negative point of view. So if you look at them from a negative point of view, number 1 category is that there are things in your rituals, in your practices day in, day out, that you do that you need to do less of. You're currently doing, but you need to do less of. For example, maybe email checking. You are checking emails too frequently. Maybe data analytics. You're spending too much time on data analytics. Or maybe you're relying too much on existing customers to bring in the numbers. You need to make sure that you rely less on your existing customers to bring the numbers. Maybe excessive follow-up. You're working on a particular deal and you're constantly asking for his response without creating space, and can be ignorant. So that can really work backwards. So there are so many things in your current rituals or habits that you need to do less of. Then number 2 is basically there are things that you need to immediately stop. For example, spending a lot of time of non-profitable leads where you feel that it's not going to convert into a qualified lead. So immediately stop that. You need to really move on to leads that are going to generate some value. Or there can be situations where what do you do after office? Do you go immediately home? You need to stop doing that. You need to go in to look for network opportunities. So you need to change your lifestyle behavior as well. What do you do over the weekend? If you're selected not to do any prospecting or networking, you need to stop that and start engaging in networking. Or maybe even ignoring certain insignificant leads. You need to stop doing that. Treat every single lead as important. So there can be so many different things that you need to immediately stop because it eats into your time. Then from a positive point of view, number 3 is that there are things that you're doing right now as a salesperson in your daily routine where you need to do more. For example, it can be prospecting. You need to do more prospecting. Maybe it's call calling. Maybe you need to do much more great effort in call calling. Maybe customer visits. Probably you have to increase the amount of customer visits. Or it can be simple thing as information. Are you doing due diligence in terms of understanding customer at a very, very deeper level? So you need to get more information. You're doing it right now, but you need to increase for greater connectivity. Then there are things, number 4 category, which you are not doing right now. You have to immediately start doing it. For example, your digital presence. Are you really promoting a product or yourself digital? You need to make sure that you create that awareness. Are you on social media platforms or professional platforms like LinkedIn to increase your network? If not, you need to engage those brilliant network opportunities right away. Or even acquiring new skills of connectivity, in communication, presentations, NLP, EQ, using various tools, strategies. You need to make sure that you acquire those skills as well. Or even asking for referrals. If you're not asking for referral from your existing clients, you need to make sure that you start doing that immediately. So these are the things that you are not doing currently, but you need to do immediately. You have to be, if you want to be a great salesman. Number 2 is basically skills. This is the how component. Now you might really have some great rituals or habits inbuilt day in, day out. You do what is exactly right, maximize your time, your effort and your efficiency levels and your resources. But sometimes you fail if you don't know how to really, transform a consumer or a customer to close a sale. Now, for example, you might go into network opportunities really good in your rituals, what you do, but if you don't know how to intervene with the customer and really have that constructive communication and the conversation, it all fails. You might get the customer to your office for a great presentation, but if the presentation fails and ability to really understand and address those pain points, then it's a failure and it's a waste of time. So you need to really constantly upgrade your mind's algorithms to really keep abreast of the new technologies in terms of communication skills, rapport building skills, using some of the most techniques of cognitive tooling, NLP, emotional intelligence, to really connect with the customer. Please visit my channel, The Sales Target, to get a greater content on these areas. Now, so skills acquisition is a very important element. So you need to make sure that you transform this customer whom you don't know to a level where the customer just, picks up his wallet out and shout out, "Take my money," to that level. This is what is called, you are really controlling the conversation flow of the prospect by really make sure that he's aligned with heading towards the closing of a sale. This is what is called the straight line persuasion method, coined by the great Jordan Belfort of Wolf of Wall Street fame, who said that you need to really control the conversation, keep it straight line towards closing of a sale. So all these new skills and techniques you need to master it, because just rituals is not enough. So number 2, skills is very important. And number 3, why salespeople continue to struggle is basically most important element is the sales mentality. This is what is called the why. Why you are in sales. If you don't understand why you are in sales, then that's going to create problems, because sales is not for everyone. You need to really make sure that why your sales is not just a short-term motivation, but a long-term drive that you are inbuilt into your DNA. Now here you have three types of people who engage in sales. Number one is basically the higher flyers. They have absolute clarity in terms of what they want to achieve. They are drivers. They are constantly innovate and recreate themselves. Just like a heat-seeking missile. When the target is changed, they change. So they are self-driven. They might not love the product, but they love what the product does for the customer. So they are excited. So this is number one. Number two are the ones who are in transition. They love sales, but their current rituals and habits, or whatever reason, they are not hitting the sales numbers. But they want to be in sales, but they are not mastered the selling mantra. So as a result, we find they are kind of pessimistic in terms of their drive. They criticize themselves too often, and if they have a bad month, they feel stress and put the whole onus on themselves. And so they have intelligence and tenacity to really do great sales, but something is missing. So they lack perseverance as a result. But what happens is they are committed to a sales career. So they want to be in sales, but at the same time, they don't want to leave it. They are not really doing well. So they are kind of trapped. Now these are the people, essentially the sales manager or the sales head or sales department head need to really, identify. There is some great potential, just that something is missing. So they need to have that conversation one-on-one and help them and inspire them, because so much potential is just that they are not getting certain things and basic elements, probably what they do day in, day out in terms of rituals, or probably in terms of some selling skill gaps. So we need to assess their current state and really transform them into great salespeople, because they want to be in sales. And also people who have this mindset, who are in this stage, handle rejections very badly, and they might have 1 or 2 months which are great, but they lack consistency and sustainability. So you need to pick them up and make sure that you transform. And then finally we have the third type, which salespeople who should not be in sales. They got into sales by default, or somebody pushed into it, but in terms of the rituals, their lifestyle, in terms of acquiring the ability or the need to acquire new skills, they are not really interested. So they should not be in sales, and it's a waste of time. And it's okay, because sales is not for everyone. So need to really assess themselves and really move out, or maybe try a different product, maybe different industry, and figure out whether sales is for them. But essentially, if the mental aspect is not there, you should move out. So don't be in a rush to really throw in the towel. Have patience. Assess after about 3 to 4 product sales cycles, and have that discussion with your boss or your sales manager or sales head, and figure out whether it is a ritual or practices, or whether it is skills related. And then probably maybe if these things are not working, probably go into another industry, maybe another product maybe. But if most important thing is the sales mentality, if you establish yourself that you want to be in sales, then the rituals and skills will fall into place. So this is Manik with another Sales Insight moment. Please visit my channel, The Sales Target, by subscribing to the subscribe button displayed on the screen. Just reminding you, it's time we stop selling, start closing. See you soon.